Hey guys, this is a getting started video for Sky Nations. A lot of people have a little trouble building their first ship or exploring and sort of learning the mechanics of the game, so I'm going to go through in a short video on how to play, how to build your first ship and how to navigate. Okay, so when you spawn, usually you end up in an area that looks like this, or maybe a bit different. Different servers will have built things at the spawn and stuff, but this is the sort of default spawn that you get with a couple of ships I made earlier. So one of the first things you'll probably find pretty useful is the reset block. If you right click this, it resets all of your inventory. That means it clears everything you've got. So if you've got anything you want to keep, don't use it. But if you lose anything that perhaps gets you stuck or anything like that, you can just go to this and right click it and you get all the stuff you need to make your first ship. You actually spawn with all this stuff in the first place, so you don't need to click it if you've already got stuff. I mean, if this is your first time, but apart from that, yeah. So the controls are like any sort of first-person view game. WASD, backwards, left, right, forwards. It's the same sort of thing. Space is jump. And on the right-hand side, you can see this item bar. So this is all of the items in the game. Well, not in the game, in your inventory rather. So if you scroll through this with your middle mouse button, you can go through everything you have. It's not just like 1 to 6. You can actually scroll down if you follow the thing. Follow the little marker and it'll go through everything. So if I want to actually see what I've got in my inventory, I can press I. So this is your inventory. These are all the items that I've got on me at the moment. These are all the slots as well. So if I hover over it, it'll actually tell me what it is and what sort of item it is. Like, so that it has a defense 60. It's got a small description of what it does and how many you can have in a stack, what type of block it is, and the name obviously at the top. So we've got all the starting gear. Also, there's a couple of more windows that you can open where you can equip stuff to your character. So there's aesthetic things and backpacks, and a tool belt. So what the tool belt is a sort of a shortcut way to get to like the tools that you want to use straight away. So sometimes, for example, you might find that you're building something. So like, let's place some blocks down, and then you're like, I want to scroll through. I have to scroll through these items to get to this tool. Well, you don't actually have to do that. So what you can do is, if you go open your tool belt, these only equip the sort of tool they are. So we'll equip them now, and I'll explain what each tool is. So a mallet is basically just a tool to break things. So if you just hit anything with that, pretty much it'll break after so many hits. The hammer is to repair like solid objects, so things like wood, stone. All the blocks in the game have persistent damage, so it's fairly useful to have tools to repair things when you start with them. The spanner is the same sort of thing, but for machines, so things like thrusters, control panels, those sort of things. Kind of just use your common sense, or you can just scroll over and see what type they are. The blowtorch, finally, is for metal and glass. The same thing repairs them. So now we've got things in the tool slot. You'll notice they've actually gone from where they are in the item bar because they're not in my inventory anymore. So if I press Q, I can actually switch between these two item bars, and Q, the left hand side bar, is actually all of your items. So they're shortcuts. So you can like build stuff, blah blah blah, choose your blocks, place something, and then just hit Q and quickly go to the sort of item that you want. Anyway, moving forward, so the first thing you want to do is obviously build an airship. That's what the game's all about, building airships. So what we'll do is, so the key part of an airship is the energy well. That's what I'm holding here in my hand. So if I place that on the floor, what it'll actually do is, when I right click it, it'll create a second platform, and that's your ship. That's like the base of your ship. You can't build your ship onto an existing piece of land, because it's sort of like just qualified as land then, rather than being a ship. So if I right click it, it'll actually teleport me onto this little raft that it's made. If I jump down, you'll see that it's actually gone up and lifted into that and become this raft. And this is like your base platform for your ship, and you can build onto it. Just create a little tower to get back up. Okay, so you can see on the bottom right hand side that there's an energy bar, and I'll explain about that in a couple of minutes. But that also tells you that you're like standing on a ship and not a piece of land. So the way it spawns is that this long side is the back of the ship. So the ship always faces one direction, okay? not the band. It actually faces north. So what you want to do is so there's some key parts of of an airship in Sky Nations. So obviously you want to be able to steer it. So this is the block that I've just placed down, is the steering controls. You see it's a little wheel, and in a minute we'll use that to steer. The next thing you need is 2 thrusters, which you start with again. You notice that they have red lights when I place them down. I then have to right click them to turn them on. And then if I finally, if I just simply right click the steering wheel, I'm using it, I can actually steer the ship. So we've actually got a working ship straight off the bat. Okay, so W accelerates by default. These are I'm just going to read out default controls because you can change them in the options to whatever you like. S decelerates. Shift will brake, which is faster than decelerating. A and D turn left and right, and space is up and control is down. Okay, so to sort of unhook and not steer the ship, you can just right click it again. Okay, so once we've got, now we've unhooked, we might want to add a bit more to the ship. So one of the things you'll notice is that when we ever stand on a ship, we have this little right hand bar that's blue, that's energy. And what this is it represents the energy in your ship. And ship energy works a bit like mana in an RPG, if you're sort of familiar with that. So what we can do is, if we turn off a thruster, you'll notice that the actual energy per second goes up, and the thrusters use 40 energy per second. Different machines and different weapons use different amounts of enemy in different amounts of energy in different ways. So a thruster uses it passively, like it uses 40 per second, so every tick. If we turn it on, you see it goes up to 60. The energy well actually gives you a free amount of energy per second, but you can only have one energy well on your ship. So what we've got at the moment is we've got a max of 100, and we're filling that because the energy is not quite we're not using. We've still got 1 per second even with these 2 thrusters on. But if we decide to add another one, and what I'll do to get another one for the moment is I'll just cheat one in with admin commands. And that will appear in my inventory. So if I put this down and then turn it on, you'll notice that the energy is starting to sink now because we've got less energy being generated per second than what we're actually using. If I turn it off, it'll build itself back up again. So ideally, for things like thrusters, you want to be generating more energy per second. And I'll cover energy a bit more in a separate video, I think, because it's a bit of a larger subject with a bunch of machines and things that use it in different ways. So let's just switch to our tools and we'll break this. Oh, I accidentally hit this thruster again, but this actually allows me to show like repairing. So damage to block stays for quite a long time, so if you're in a battle or anything like that, your ship becomes more and more damaged and you have to run around and repair it. So if I use this little tool here and hit it with it, it'll actually repair it to full. So one of the things that in Sky Nations is that the world is separated into all these like what are called systems, which are like fairly like large areas full of stuff. At the moment we're at the spawn one. The map is a little cramped because I just generated this quickly as a small map, and all these nodes represent different areas, and the little lines in between them represent gates. So if I just close the map, M is to open the map, by the way. You'll see all these sort of bubbles with like star shapes in them, and these are gates, and you just need to fly into them and they'll teleport you to where they connect to. So without like, there's no labels or anything, so you can't really tell where you're going. But what you can do is, say you want to go to a specific place, like say I want to go to, and the green arrow represents where I am. I want to go to this one. I can click set destination, and you'll see that it actually tells me where that one's going. And what we'll do is we'll jump through that gate. And you can see it on the top right. There's a little flag, which means this area is dangerous, as in players can attack each other here. The game is a lot about PvP, and pretty much only the area on most servers that'll be won't be dangerous, which will have like a safe zone flag, will be the spawn usually. And in a safe zone, you can't fire weapons and those sort of things that hurt players. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your ships are safe, so you shouldn't park your ships in spawn because people can run off with them. So we're just heading towards this beacon here. You can see that the spawn zone is a little bit empty because I just generated this to do this short video. And as we come towards it, once you reach inside the bubble, you'll get a warning to stop, and then all you need to do is simply slow down your vehicle to a stop, and it'll jump you to another area. So here we go, going inside, and it'll give me a little warning in a second. So I'm slowing down now. And your ship will become stunned or like caged in this manner, which means your ship basically can't move and it can't generate any power. And this is to sort of lock you in place while it teleports you. So now we're loading in another area. So we've just entered a sort of different biome. Like all the systems are separated as different sort of biomes with different things in them. This happens to be a fuel biome, so it's got lots of fuel in it, and it's also got some creatures that love to latch onto your ship and then occasionally explode if you run into them, called magmacytes. So one thing you can do, like while you're flying around and everything, I don't actually have anyone to show this on at the moment, but you can actually, like, other players can run around your ship while you're flying it, and they can alter it and they can build on it. So if I happen to like I can just, like, there's no special mode or build mode or anything like that. You can just simply build onto your ship wherever you like. In fact, if you hold shift, you won't actually fall off the edges as you walk against them. So I can add like a little bit, push like a little rim to my ship, for example. And give it a bit of a safety rail so it don't actually fall off by accident, which happens a lot to me. So the next thing is probably a good idea to show is crafting. So crafting is pretty simple. You just plonk down a bench like this, and you start with one, and you can just right click it, and you'll get like a little interface like this, but it's empty at the moment. That's because we don't have any useful materials. So what I'll do is I'll just cheat some materials in to give you an idea of what it would look like. So here we go. So the crafting menu actually shows everything you can build with what you have. You don't need to put like items in a certain way or anything like that. I'll tell you what you like, every single possible thing you could make with the items that you have on your inventory at the moment. And you can just slide over them with the mouse like this, and it'll tell you like what you need to make it and how many you get from making it. So in for example, we've got a bullet here. Because we've got some copper, you get 6 bullets for 1 piece of copper. And that goes straight into your inventory and you can use it straight away. So once you've actually, in fact, if you want to know how to make an item that you don't have materials for, you can actually press B. And what B is it's like an in-game sort of knowledge base. So there's actually a little guide on how to do a lot of things in the game already in this. It tells you like a bit more in depth of how things specifically work, so you can use them to the best of your knowledge. But also it has an item database, and this has all the items in the game. So if you want to know how to make something, or you want to know what an item is, you can search it in the search bar, or you can just simply, if you just want to look through the larger amount of items, you can just scroll over it, and it'll tell you, just like any other window, what it is, how it's made, all that sort of information. So we'll head on a little bit, and we'll come to this island. So one of the other things in Sky Nations is there's a moving day and night cycle. This really only affects the growth of plants and things like that at the moment. It may affect sort of mobs in the future. One thing I should point out is that I'm filming this on version 0.6, which is at the moment will be the next update that's out. But this might, the guide might outdate a little bit, so be aware of that. I'll try to put out a new video if anything drastically changes. So as we approach this sort of area, say we want to start a base here, one of the important things you want to do for a base is that you want to respawn. Obviously, you don't want to go back to the spawn and sort of like have your ship stranded here without you. It's kind of a lame situation to be in, and it's not a good place. So we'll pull up against this, and what we'll do is we'll put a respawn point down. So like say this is not a great place for a base, covered in sort of lava and dangerous enemies sort of floating about over there, but let's say we wanted to make this, let's say we made bad decisions and we want to put this as our base. We can just put this down, and this is a respawn chamber, so all we need to do, like any block to sort of interact with it, is right click it, and that'll put a little like picture of a guy at the top of our screen, and that means we're bound to this spawn. So if we die, we just come back here. At the moment, in this current update, you don't lose anything when you die, but obviously you come back to a position which just sort of puts you out of a fight or anything like that. So we'll just test it now. One thing you can do, in fact, to get yourself out of situations that you're stuck in, say you get like a bug happens, or you just go too far out and you just want to get back and it's a pain, you can just do /die and that'll take you back to your respawn point, whether that be the actual spawn of the server or the one I've just set. So we /die, it'll hold me in place for 5 seconds, and then drop me, and I'm good, back to where it was. I'm not quite sure where I left the ship. I think it's over here. Right. So the other part of that is that you want to be able to like sort of rescue your ship. Say I forgot to put my spawn point down or something like that, and then I die and my ship's left there. What you want to do is you want to be sort of preemptive about that, and you want to put down an escape drive. An escape drive basically allows you to call your ship back to you. So we'll put one down here, and what we can do is right click it. And an escape drive basically works sort of like a password system, and it's unique to the server. So obviously don't use your real passwords or anything like that. Just simply just a set of numbers or codes or a word that you can remember that's fairly secure. That it'll sort of be the unique identifier for your ship. So I'm going to call this my awesome ship. It is case sensitive, and submit that. Once that's submitted, the ship's code can't be changed again until this escape drive is destroyed. So as long as the ship has an escape drive, you can call it back and you know the code. If you recall ships with the same code, like all of them will come back to you at once. So if you have like a bunch of ships, you can recall them all at once. So we've got that there, and let's just go and destroy the this respawn point. So I've actually teleported myself to a different location so I can reclaim the ship. And the way reclaiming ships works is that now we've set, with the escape blocker, we've set a code for the ship. What we can actually do is place down a reclaim machine. And what a reclaim machine does is basically teleports the ship back to you. I'll just give myself a reclaim machine because I appeared to have lost mine on the journey. And it looks like this, and I'll just place it down here, and what it does is that like any block, just right click it to interact, and then I can it's already set in as I did it before, just to test before I did this video. I can bring it back with my awesome ship. So this would be the code that you would have entered for your ship. So anyone can use the code, but obviously they have to know it, and there's quite a lot of variance. So make sure you pick something fairly easy to remember, but also something that people won't be able to sort of guess. So when I click submit, I'll actually teleport the ship to us, or should do. Actually, the one thing to note about the reclaim machine is that if it's in an area that's loaded, it'll take a couple of seconds to bring the ship back, because this gives you sort of a fair chance to people on the other side to actually capture the ship. So as soon as you trigger the escape drive, what you end up with is a actually just come back now. There it is. What you do is you trigger a shield around it, and that shield has appears, and it keeps the shield appears, and it protects the ship, and it has a certain amount of HP. And enemy ships there can actually attack it, and if they destroy the shield, then the escape drive destroys and it doesn't actually recall back. However, if they don't, or if there's no one in the area, it comes back to you like this has now. And all I need to do is build a little tower to get back up to it. Oh, can't quite have one that close, so Carry on. There we go. And we're here. Hello, hello ship. So that's basically how you'll get your ship back. And generally, what you would do is you'd have a respawn chamber and a reclaiming machine, which is the block I just placed down on the surface there, to bring back your ships and be able to respawn back to one location, which ideally would be your base. So I think that'll be enough for now. Explain some of the basic mechanics of the game. What I might do is do another video on energy, and then another video, probably the same video, be energy and combat, and then another video on protecting your stuff with nations and nations overall as a concept. Okay, I hope that helped you. Goodbye.